Hi everyone, it's Vicky here from createafashionbrand.com and fashionserviceshongkong.com. Before I get into today's question, I should just update you again. This is your last warning. Um, I've been asked, I know if you've been watching all the other videos, the last sort of 3 or 4 videos, you'll know I've been giving notices about the boot camp this year. But it's because I get messages every year saying I don't give people enough notice. So this is your final call. I am giving you loads and loads of notice. The boot camp is going to be from June, July this year, but we're going to open registration on the 1st of April. It's only a few more days. So you've had loads and loads of notice. I won't go on about the boot camp on this video, but there are loads of videos on my playlist, my bootcamp playlist, and on the website fashionserviceshongkong.com. So you can get loads of information there, okay? So you had loads and loads of warning, loads of notice. So let's get on to this week's question, and it's a pretty big question, actually. One that I don't get asked a lot. Most people ask kind of smaller questions, but Chris in Perth asked, how do you build a fashion brand? Which is a huge question, and there's quite a lot involved. So I'm not sure how I'm going to fit that into 5 minutes. I suppose we should just focus on the kind of main elements of what I do with clients, what I teach in the boot camp when we're doing kind of one-on-one sessions. And it's based around 3 areas. And I call them the 3 C's. There's also a video about the 3 C's on my playlist, so please go watch that after this one. The first one is your core values. The second one is your customer profile. And your third one is consistency, so your 3 C's. Now, the reason I came up with them is because I've worked for a number of brands before I had my own company and after. From luxury to value to different markets, different places around the world, selling different things. And they all the successful brands, I realized, focused on these 3 areas. The ones that were really successful did the consistency really, really well. Okay, so I focus, you'll notice if you watch a lot of my videos, I will bang on and on about customer profiles, your values, getting the consistency right, because these 3 things are so important. So let me go through them. Core values, so what are they? Basically, your core values are promises that you make your customer. They are the values of your brand itself, not the products, the brand. They are the reasons that your brand exists, okay? Now, they can be anything. That is really your personal choice. But they can talk about money, pricing. They can talk about the manufacturing, and all different aspects of that, whether it's eco, whether it's you're against child labor. I would hope you would be against child labor. There are all kinds of things that you could write down as a core value, and they have to be real core values. You can't just write down stuff that you think people want to hear, because people will figure you out pretty quickly. So if you promise something, if you say that your brand represents an eco-friendly, an environmental brand looking to reduce waste, then you have to do that consistently throughout your brand, okay? And you have to really do it. You can't just write it down and hope that nobody will notice when you add in some extra packaging somewhere that's really wasteful, or use plastic or something like that. So you have to write down things that are really important to you and follow them through in everything that you do with your brand. The second thing is customer profiles. And you need to know something about your customer. Now, a lot of people think this is kind of be a bit icky sometimes because you're collecting data, you're researching people, you're doing all this stuff. If you do it the wrong way, yes, it can be a little bit like, we had all that stuff with Cambridge Analytica in the news last week about elections and various other things, data mining. But that's not what a customer profile is about. It's about getting to know your customer really, really well. The reason that we do that is often designers work in a bubble. So whether you're working for somebody else or you're working for for your own brand, we work in this bubble where we go, oh, that's a great idea, and that's a great idea, and oh, that's fun, so I'm going to stick that in. And you will never know until you actually produce it and try and sell that product, whether it's a good product or not, whether people like it or not, whether it's worth them paying good money, that they go to work and earn that money, whether it's worth it. You're never going to know that. But what you can do is listen to people. And you should be doing, a customer profile will start you off, but you should be listening to your consumers all the time, and doing a customer profile every sort of 5-6 years, because people's values change. They adapt, they move on, they grow, they have families. Life is never still. So how are you going to know what your customer wants unless you listen? It could be that you design this beautiful product in your mind, your beautiful product, and it doesn't sell. And that could be down to a lot of different things. Maybe it's too expensive. Maybe it's not, the fit isn't great for the people buying. Maybe you just haven't marketed it very well. It could be for a whole host of reasons. But until you actually listen to your customers, until you find out what it is that they want, you're never going to know. Now, as a brand, you have to balance, your creativity, your design, with the needs of your consumer. Because it's great, you can have amazing products, but if no one can afford it, what's the point? Your business is going to go bust. So you have to compromise. You have to listen to them and try and keep your creativity, your what we call handwriting, your design handwriting, and try and balance that out. Now, the last thing, which is really, really important, is consistency. And it's the hardest one to really pinpoint. Consistency is literally taking the core values that you came up with at the beginning of your process and making sure that you as a brand stick to them throughout everything that you do. So if we go back to the idea of, you're an eco brand. Okay, well then, when it comes to that, okay, fine, you can, let's say you use ends of rolls of fabric, so you're not producing more fabric, you're using up what's already there. Maybe you get old garments and remake them in something else. Okay, great, fantastic. You are helping the environment, you are upcycling loads of stuff. Great, 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 wonderful, wonderful. And then you put them in a beautiful bag, wrapped in paper, with a sticker on it, then in a box, then in a bag, which then goes in a shipping box with loads of plastic. Do you see where I'm going with this? You have to, if you're going to call yourself an eco brand, it has to be eco everywhere. If your packaging has loads of plastic, has loads of extra stuff that you don't need, that's not eco-friendly. So the consistency is about taking the values that you've written down at the beginning and literally everything you do, looking down your values and going, does this match this? No, it doesn't. Okay, forget it. Does it match this one? Yes, it does. Okay, great, we're going to go with this. Does it? So it's a bit of an abstract kind of concept, and there's no real kind of description that I can kind of tell you other than you just take what you've promised your customers, your consumers, and you make sure that that filters through everything that you do. And that could be something as small as font size, for example. If you're, let's say you've got a brand that's going to market to university students. Okay, they're young, they've got good eyesight, they can read small text on a website, they want They don't mind kind of flashing lights and bright colours, and of course this depends on the brand you're building, right? So you've got to consider the type of brand. But you can have all these different things and use social media, and you would focus on social media because they're not going to read a newspaper, or, so what's the point of marketing in that, you know? You would do that in a particular way. Now, let's say you go to the opposite end. Let's say you go to people who are retirement age. You've got a brand that's for older, more mature, experienced people. I like to say that I am. And you are promoting to them, but you wouldn't do it on social media, or at least you wouldn't focus on social media, because there's not that many people of that age who focus on social media. They still read newspapers, listen to the radio. So your marketing would be different. Would you focus so much on a website? You'd need one, sure, because other people would be buying for them, gifts and so on. But you'd also have to consider, let's say, something like font size. As you get older, your eyes are not the same as they were when you were 20. I know that myself. And so you might need a slightly larger font size. You couldn't make it really tiny. You might need to increase that. You might have to make the layout a bit more simplistic. You might have to think about where you put things that make sense to people. If they wanted to find out a piece of information, do they think the same way as a 20-year-old? Would they think, oh, it's going to be in this section? Whereas a 20-year-old might think, oh no, that should be in that section. So there's a lot of different things you have to think about. So everything comes back to your core values, your customer profile, and then implementing all of those things in your brand with consistency. Okay. Really, I mean, unless we're kind of working on a brand, it's very difficult to give concrete examples. So it's quite difficult to explain. But there are loads of videos. I've got loads on my playlist, which you can listen to. I've got loads more examples in there. One on the 3 C's as well. We do have a bootcamp playlist on our YouTube channel. So you can look through some of those videos too. And there's also a couple more videos where we go through different aspects of building a brand. But really, it's such a big question that it's very difficult to answer unless I'm kind of speaking to you directly and talking about your brand specifically. So my advice, Chris, I would hope, if you can, come on the bootcamp, because I do every session myself, and I work with every person on it one-to-one. We're all there for the seminars, but I'm talking to you personally about your specific brand, helping you to build your brand. So I'd really hope to meet you on that. I think that would be the best way forward. But do watch the other videos. Don't forget to visit createafashionbrand.com, because it's got loads of articles on there on different things. And if you've got a question like Chris, please don't forget to either email me back from the newsletter, which you can do if you're not on it. Description box details are down there, or comment on here, and I will see you next week for another answer to another question.